Okay, and hello. In not too long from now, probably thinking the 1st of June, I'm going to do a all-day streaming event. But I want to test things out first, so that's what all this is. I'm just going to be streaming for a while here, from video of me to stuff on the screen to music and stuff like that, just to test it out. So that's why you're here, that's what you're watching. So I thank you for helping me test this out. Again, not going to be anything too interesting today, just going to be testing the stream. I do appreciate you stopping by. And so let's go ahead and see. As you know, I've got my main channel, my software channel, where we talk about programming and other free software topics. And then I have my second channel, which I primarily focus on stuff like hardware, like ESP8266 development chips and Arduinos and dot matrix screens and that sort of stuff, and maybe a little bit on Raspberry Pis. But I actually have a third channel that's actually been around longer than my second channel, which is my channel on music I create. You know, just a hobby, I create music. If you look back on this main channel far enough, I used to post my music videos here, but I'm not really a musician. It's something I do as a hobby. Some people enjoy my music, but I didn't want to bog down my main channel with it, so I started another channel. So, you know, this live stream, just to be testing for a while, I'm going to go ahead and play some of my music here and there, in and out, switching between that and clips of me talking and stuff on the screenshots and stuff like that. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to play one of my songs for you now. So enjoy. Wow, I hope you enjoyed that. Again, you know, my music is something I enjoy doing. It isn't, I'm not trained. I like playing with MIDI devices and mixing and adding effects and stuff like that. And I like creating basic beats. I mainly started doing this, way back in the day in the 90s. Ooh, back in high school, I started doing, video work, video editing. Back then, I originally, the way I did my editing is I filmed with a camera, and then I would hook my camera to a VCR, and I would press play on the camera and record on the VCR, then pause on the VCR, get to the other scene I want, and I'd go through all that, and then I'd take that tape, put it in another VCR, hook it back up into the first VCR, have the video and audio going into the right channel, then I'd have music on the left channel. That's how I would mix music, and I would overlay music into my videos. If you had a mono TV, it'd be playing out, you might hear just the left or just the right unless your TV mixed it. Anyway, so at that time I wanted to get into creating my own music because I wanted to make sure that I had the rights to everything I created. So back then, using Windows 98, I guess, I got Dance EJ, Hip Hop EJ, and Techno EJ, which were like $20 each. They were little CDs with very simple software for creating. Well, they had a bunch of loops. There's a library of loops, and you just lay it there, but you can make your own beats. And I actually made a number of music CDs back in the day and used it, and it was great. It was fun. I liked the stuff I made. Mostly it was just using loops that were in the libraries for those projects. But I would also create my own beats in the beat editor. Like one of them would have a drum editor, the other one would have some sort of beat editor that would change the pitch of the notes or the keys of the notes, and you can import your own samples. And I'd love grabbing samples from movies and TV shows. Sometimes I would just turn on TV, record a little bit, and put it in there. Like one of my songs, I remember back in the day, I recorded just a short little piece of some TV show where some guy was building a table, and he was talking about the base table. He goes, and there's the bass, or something like that. And I put that into the song. Again, now moving away from, now I'm sampling, which, again, the original reason for me making my own music was because I wanted the rights for everything. Sampling like that, something like that wouldn't really necessarily get flagged. But then I had another song where I actually grabbed a clip from Ghostbusters after one of the Ghostbusters got slimed, and then I believe it was Dan Aykroyd comes out and he looks at whichever guy just got slimed and he goes, "Wow, actual physical contact," and I put that into one of my songs. So I had a lot of fun. Nowadays when I do it, I create most of my own beats. I don't use loops. I use instrument samples, but not necessarily loops that are already created. Although I do have had fun in the past, especially like bands like Nine Inch Nails would release mixing tracks of their songs, and I like mixing those in Ardor, or taking little loops of them and putting them into something like LMMS. And back in my Windows day, I used FL Studio's Fruity Loops, I think it was called, and basically like LMMS, Linux Multimedia Studio, is basically the free and open source Linux, although also runs on Windows, although I've heard people having issues with it on Windows, but you're running Linux Multimedia System on Windows. Anyway, they're the two programs you compare. Like you compare LibreOffice to Microsoft Office, and I would say LMMS is awesome. It's still, even now, almost 20 years later, still lacking some features I liked in FL Studios, but it's 95% there. Just thinking back to FL Studio, and I don't know what FL Studios is like today. Definitely had it had a thing where some of the stuff you can do in FL Studios, or you can do in LMMS, but it's different. I can take notes and split them into chords in LMMS, but it actually adds those notes in, and it's hard to modify after. Where FL Studios, if I remember correctly, I can say make this a chord, and I can change it, and it's kind of like still using the bass note, so you can turn that on and off or adjust it as time goes on. Where I believe in LMMS, you say, okay, yeah, I want to hit a note and make it a chord, but it actually just adds in those notes, and you can move those notes around, but you can't go, okay, I want to change it to a different type of chord. I also remember FL Studios had a strum effect where you could put down a chord, but then you can offset it so that the notes were off, so it's kind of like you're strumming, they're not played all at the same time. And you can do similar stuff in LMMS, but again, it's not as fine-tuned. So what I'm saying, I'm honest, I love free and open source software, and LMMS is, like I said, 95% of what FL Studios was, at least back when I used FL Studios, but still was lacking stuff. Another thing that FL Studios had that I liked was it had a voice synthesizer built in that you could adjust the pitch. So basically you can put out notes, type in words, and it would kind of sing. And it was kind of cheesy, but it was kind of cool at the same time. I think it also had some sort of synthesized choir voice that sounded really good. So definitely different instruments between the two. And I also use LMMS without any, what are they called? VTSs or VSTs, which you can use in LMMS with basically a Wine plugin to use those plugins, but most of those are proprietary, so I've never really used them, and I think that would probably open up a lot more doors and make LMMS a lot more like FL Studios, to my understanding, because I guess VSTs or whatever they are very common in music production. But unfortunately, they're Windows only as far as I can tell, and you need to have Wine installed with LMMS to utilize them. So, I mean, that would probably open up a whole another area. I just don't need it for my work. Anyway, again, this is just a test stream for an upcoming streaming event. I'm going to have an all-day streaming event. I'm looking at the 1st of June. So I'll start early in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, and hopefully do somewhere between 5 and 8 hours streaming. And this is just a test stream, so I'm just kind of talking and flipping back and forth. Let's go ahead and have a look at what's here on my screen. So let's go ahead and have a look at this. So one of the things I'm probably going to talk about on the day of streaming, I'm going to talk just about a lot of random things, is things like on my website. I'm going to talk about filtering lists. So when you go to my website, it loads up my site. After however many seconds I have it set, it scrolls down to this main video area where you can start typing stuff. Like if I want to see my videos on Nmap, I can just type in Nmap and it filters the list very quickly. And if I want to see music, I can type in music and list anything that has the word music in the title. And these are a lot of older music videos that I've made for songs I have written. And I'm just going to do a whole section on talking about filtering lists, because I find them very important. Static HTML pages are great for certain things, but at the same time, if you're going to be using any user interaction, especially if there's a list that's longer than 20 or definitely 50 things in a list, I feel like you should have a search or preferably a filterable list. So that's that. Again, my site. You can go to support if you want to support me. Software will bring you to a section that links you to my GitHub, my paste bin, or my notes, where you can, again, there's a filter list here, which is actually a little bit smarter than one on my main page. And I can type in bash or CPIO if I want to see all my bash scripts with CPIO, or if I type in Android, if I could type, there we go. So if the word Android is in any of these, and these are just my quick notes. Anyway, so there's that. And we'll switch back over here. Okay, so yeah, that's something we're going to talk about. Now, again, just to clarify, this is a test stream. I have an upcoming all-day event, probably June 1st, where I'm going to be streaming pretty much from early in the morning on June 1st, Eastern Standard Time, for hopefully 5 or more hours, making it an all-day event. So I do thank you for watching. Now, again, this is a test stream, just testing, so let's go ahead and switch over to listening again to some music I wrote just to practice switching back and forth. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, there we go. Playing that, and we'll go ahead and So again, this is a live stream test, and here we're just looking at an ESP8266 development board. My second channel is all about hardware. I use the ESP8266 a lot. If you want to be able to connect to your devices you create wirelessly, this is awesome. A very cheap device, built-in Wi-Fi, very easy to set up as a client or web server or as an access point. Here we have a Arduino Nano, probably a clone of some sort. This is the sort of thing that I go over on my second channel. We've done lots of things. I'm going to go over on the day I actually stream. I'm going to be going over hooking one of these up to alert you when something is activated. And I have a my water system is a well system. I'm not on city water, and I have two pumps, one in the ground and one in a water tank. And I have had issues in the past where something goes wrong in the system and the pumps keep running, and those pumps are expensive and they will eventually break or burn out. I had to replace one a few months ago, and the pump itself is well over $600 plus the cost of getting it replaced and all that. You're pushing $1,000. So a $3 device like this with another $3 power supply, you're looking at $6-7 to have something that will alert you. And I'm going to set it up so it doesn't just alert me. What it's going to do is it's going to log every time the pump goes on and off, and that way I can know how often the pump runs, and if it ever runs more than 5 minutes, every minute after 5 minutes it will start texting me. So that's what I'm going to be doing. The live stream, I'll probably be going over that, and then I'll probably go over it in more detail on my second channel. And again, if you don't need Wi-Fi, a Arduino device such as this is really nice, very cheap. We'll have some advantages over this as far as, more pulse width module pins and stuff like that, more analog pins, I believe. For the most part, on either of them, I've used it as either to trigger something or detect something. I only usually use one or two, two pins to signal stuff. But this is the sort of thing that I go over on my second channel. Again, this is a test stream, just to test things out. On June 1st, I'm hoping to have a all-day streaming event, and yeah, so I'm just testing this out now. Be sure to check out my second channel. I also have a third channel with music I created, and today we're just streaming some of that just to see if the stream will go straight. So here's another one of the songs I've created. I thank you for joining us today, and again, this is just a test. And I hope you join me on June 1st, again, early in the morning on June 1st, Eastern Standard Time, hopefully, and it will hopefully, if things go well, be an all-day event. So about 15 years ago, probably a little bit longer than that, I bought, I think like 50 of these 3D glasses, and I experimented with 3D imagery and videos, and you know, doing images is pretty easy if you have one camera and you have people who subjects that aren't moving. You know, to get a 3D image, you need a image through one eye and a same image from a slightly different angle, just, you know, 1.5 to 2 inches over, to the other eye. The way these work is this will subtract all colors except for the cyan color, and this will subtract everything but red, and then your brain mixes the colors together again. That's how it works. It separates out the picture and then mixes them back together, which is incredible. But I'm not going to talk about too much of this in the live stream, but I am going to go over, you know, a quick talk about Google Cardboard and just you know, other viewable devices, and, you know, the difference between them. You can get $5 virtual headsets now that you put your phone into, and very easy to look at 3D panoramas that people have created, or create your own, or very easy to create sphere photos, and there are programs out there like Google Photos has incorporated into their program on your phones a view for headsets like that. But if you're not into that, I've also created some very basic HTML code that you load an image up, and then just right in your web browser on your phone without installing anything, you can look at a sphere. It's not 3D, but you can look all around at a 2D image, because to create a 3D image you need, again, 2 cameras off from each other a little bit, and I can't do that with my phone or a little sphere camera I just recently got. You can do a panorama with your phone if you use the Google Cardboard application, which I've played with before, but I try to keep my proprietary usage down on software, and if it's not needed, then it's not installed, and I've played with that. And what that does is you just pan the camera around like this, and it's making basically 2 panoramas. It's going to stick together because you're going from left to right or right to left. It can take those 2 pictures, and as long as your subject stays still, you can get a panorama that's actually 3D, and it actually records audio too and plays back that audio file while you're looking around. So looking up and down, you're just going to see blur because it's not taking a picture of that. But left to right, you can go around and actually get a 3D image, which is pretty cool. Again, that will you can use that. You can create that with Google Cardboard and use the Google Cardboard program to do that. But if you already have an image like that, it's built into the Google Photos app right now. If you use that to view that sort of thing, if not, I'm sure something could be created very simply, but I haven't gotten to that. I've just done the 2D sphere photos, which is fun to do. So anyway, again, this is a test stream. Have a live stream happening June 1st. All-day streaming event. I hope that you join me for that. I think you're joining me right now. Let's go ahead and switch back over to, again, some music I have created. My favorite game since the 90s has been Doom. It's still a game I play regularly, a few times a week. There's so many mods out there and just different levels that people have created, so well done, some better than the original game, that I can continue playing all the time and not repeat levels. And I haven't even gotten into like the full mods, you know, that completely recreate the game, but just new levels with maybe new graphics and sounds that people have created. And just over, you know, recently Doom 2016 came out, and at first I thought it looked pretty bad, but more I look into it, it seems like a cool game. Unfortunately, it's not a, they didn't port it to Linux, and I don't think there's any plans for that. Unlike Doom 3, which one I bought back in, what was that, 2004, 2005? I bought that. I pre-ordered it, so I got these little statues, which are cool, and I loved that game. In fact, I played that game, the first week I played that, I can't remember if it was Francis or Charlie, 2 hurricanes had come through here, and I was without power for a week, and I got a generator to play Doom, which is it's kind of a creepy game if you played it, and I'm playing it in the dark in my house, and generator power is not reliable, so I'd be playing and then all of a sudden, like, just a little bit into it, the power would cut out and the computer would shut off and I get all started again. Probably was not very good for my computer at the time. In fact, that was probably before I had switched Linux. I think that was like 2004, 2005, and I switched Linux I think in 2006. Or quite possibly. Actually, I remember when I first pre-ordered it, I bought it, and I only had a laptop at the time, and even turning down all the graphics, it didn't run very good. So then a few months later, I bought it again and played it. And of course, now that's the game engine for that, I believe, is on the GPL, just like the original Doom and Doom 2 are. Obviously, it's a bit more complicated creating mods for that. Some people have done it. I'm surprised there hasn't been more done with that. And it's a shame that the new game, there's no plans for a Linux port, and as far as I know, no plans for opening it up under a GPL in the future, which was something John Carmack was always good about. Which actually, have you guys seen, you know, recently there was an article about John Carmack talking about Steve Jobs, and just like everybody who I think ever worked with Steve Jobs, who has the balls to say it, you know, Steve Jobs was a jerk. He tried to get John Carmack to change the date of his wedding so he could speak at a conference for him, and anyway, Steve Jobs was a stinky guy too. You ever read that? He claimed that he didn't need to use deodorant because he was on a diet that eliminated body odor, but of course everybody he worked with disagreed with him on that. So yeah, not only was he a jerk, he was a smelly jerk. Anyway, again, this is a test stream. Let's go ahead and switch over again and just listen to some music I created. This is just a test stream. this is a test stream. I'm going to do an all-day streaming event on June 1st. I'm just testing streaming stuff out. So yeah, I thank you for joining me today and helping me test this out. I look forward to an all-day streaming event on the 1st. I hope that you guys are able to make it. Yeah, thanks for watching. Visit filmsbychris.com. Have a great day.